And I'm glad she is here because she's working together with me, especially in that Springbridge area. And also as coordinator for the elections. She's working together with me as chairman of the Constituent Executive, and we are making sure that Kamla Prasad Bisesa returns as political leader of this party. She is the only one to lead us. She is the only one to lead us against this vicious PNM and Rowley and his cohorts. And we must come out here, give her support and vote. Come out our numbers and support her and show them that we are a party of democracy. And we will, anybody want to oppose the leader, go ahead and oppose the leader. But what the party should do in future is make sure they have something called a deposit, so they could lose the deposit. Put that in the constitution, so they'll lose their deposit. I thank you all.
I would like to acknowledge the chairman of the United National Congress, MP for Pointe-à-Pierre, David Lee, and also the chairman of the Cuba Tabacate Corporation, Mr. Henry I.A.N. Sorry. I just want to add, with respect to my colleague, he was talking about the PNM 41 convention, 47 convention, sorry. Did you all read the newspaper today, the Newsday? So the front of the Newsday has PM no show at the Memorial Day Parade, honor troops who served the British West Indian Regiment during the World War I and II. This is shame. And then he wants to blame Kamala for everything but taking credit of all the PP projects in the energy sector. What do you all think about this man? He has no shame and he needs to step down. Well, he said he's be going away on trips with business to this country, but I don't believe that. I would like to invite a singer, Mr. Brian Mohan, at this point in time, to bless us with some entertainment. Mr. Mohan?
I vote last time, and I vote the time before. But come this time, I know who I'm voting for. Cause we country in a mess, the people in distress. Rowley PNM is a failure. Rowley PNM is a disaster. Cause we country in a mess, the people in distress. The UNC is failure. And that is why we supporting Kamala. If you're supporting Kamala, put your flags in the air. People want bring back Kamala. What I say? People say bring back Kamala. What the people want bring back Kamala. What the people say bring back Kamala. What the people want bring back Kamala. What the people say bring back Kamala. What the people want bring back Kamala. I vote last time and I vote the time before, but come this time I know who I'm voting for. Cause we country in a mess, the people in distress. Rowley PNM is a failure. Rowley PNM is a disaster. Cause we country in a mess, the people in distress. The UNC is the savior. And that is why we supporting Kamala. If we supporting Kamala, where the flag? What the people say bring back Kamala. What the people want bring back Kamala. What the people say bring back Kamala. What the people want bring back Kamala. Costs are living so high, food prices running sky high, and keep Rowley flying high and dry. The only fixing stadium, but the people having problems. Rowley PNM say hell with all of them. Oh, they are Nike only playing golf. Oh, and that's the reason why he make poor people cry. Rowley PNM is a failure. Rowley PNM is a disaster. Cause we country in a mess, the people in distress. The UNC is the savior. And that is why we supporting Kamla. If it's supporting Kamla, please rock. What the people say, bring back Kamla. What the people want, bring back Kamla. What the people say, bring back Kamla. What the people want, bring back Kamla. There is only murder each and every hour. Tell me why the people are suffer. The hustlers are working, the PNM they joking. Up till now they do a thing. Oh, they are 90 only playing golf. Oh, and that's the reason why he make poor people cry. Only PNM is a failure. Only PNM is a disaster. Cause we country in a mess, the people in distress. The UNC is the savior, and that is why we supporting Kamla. Who is supporting? What the people say, bring back Kamla. What the people want, bring back Kamla. What the people say, bring back Kamla. What the people want, bring back Kamla. Thank you. Only PNM is a failure. The UNC is the savior. Rolling PNM is a failure.
Let's give it up for Brian Mohan. I must agree, this is the first time in history that our country has become to a depression where there is no jobs, no food, so many flooding, no help, a dormant government. Do you agree with me? We have a leader with a vision, a leader who is for the people, who was out there in her boots, in water high, 3-4 feet, in her boat, going out to meet the people. And we have a prime minister who doesn't care or value you, the people of this country. Do you agree with me? I'm not hearing you all clear. Do you agree with me? I will take this opportunity to invite a first-time councillor in the Tunapuna Corporation. He has a sporting background in Caroni East. He's the founder of the Soccer Revolution. He's also the president of the Warrenville Community Council. Let us welcome Councillor Samuel Sanka for Kelly Village, Warrenville.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Chairman for the United National Congress, our political leader who is on our way, deputy political leaders, MPs, councillors, aldermen, and our senators in the House. I want to congratulate our senator, son of this soil, from this neighborhood, young Saddam Hussein, who is grew up in my hometown, Warrenville. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a great time to be here under the leadership of Kamla Prasad Bisesa Senior Council. And while we are at the TPRC, I want to commend our leader in the TPRC, Alderman Kevin Gibbs. He's doing a splendid job right here. And I would go over to him and share some ideas together with my colleagues, Seema Ramsaran, Jalen Rupnarayan. We just heard from member Councillor Paltu, and we're doing an excellent job empowering people, making a better difference in our community. And so we have a person who's ripped out cancer, tears apart cancer, in the person of Dr. Tim Gopi Singh, my MP for Caroni East. Please welcome him here and show some love to Caroni East MP, Dr. Tim Gopi Singh. So it's against that background I stand here to say that I'm the councillor for Kelly Village, Warrenville, and I'm proud to be UNC. Yes, we are proud to be UNC here tonight. So it says that teamwork makes the dream works. Can you say that with me? Teamwork makes the dream work. And under Kamla Prasad Bisesa here tonight, we are rallying behind her as our leader. We want to let her know that loud and proud, that we are UNC and we are proud of it. Ladies and gentlemen, those on the World Wide Web and the thousands of us who are looking on this side here, we are making a better difference. I happen to have a background in urology, and they tell me that when you tee off in golf, is that golfers lose their balls. Quote me right here. So if you don't have that, then you're spineless. But what we don't want is testicular fortitude. We want to continue with ovarian fortitude. Leadership from Kamla Prasad Bisesa. And so as we continue, ladies and gentlemen, I like the yellow brand. And as a good fellow, I like to wear the yellow. Improving the quality of life to our burgesses, our citizens, our residents, and how we grow as a community. Empowering people, empowering the people, and serving the people, and serving the people. Earth drains, you would have known that over the 4 months we'd have gone through many different floods here. 2 floods, 2 storms, Brett, and the other one within 4 months, from June to as of last month. Yet still, we have no relief coming out. But concerned citizens, members of churches, communities, mosques, temples, and just good people who care about making a better difference, they have come out into Caroni East and supported me as a counselor in providing services, hot meals, mattresses. I've had counselors, Alderman Kazim Ishmael, who has been on the field and on the ground in the trenches with me. I want to commend him for his support. Alderman Gibbs and my all other fellow councillors who are making a better difference in the quality of life, providing services for our community and our burgesses. They tell me that education is great, but imagination is that what would make a better difference. If we become Imagineers and we could understand where we're going, that it will take us into the future. Vision is where we are going. Mission is what we are doing. We are on a mission here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. And if we continue along that pathway, we would be able to achieve all our objectives that we so desire. So that without vision, where there is no vision, the people perish. Where there is no vision, the people perish. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I want to share a dream here tonight with us, that under our leadership, we will be able, as Team UNC, and I'm proud to be UNC, that one day, the UNC will be back in power, and Kamla Prasad Bisesa will be our Prime Minister and continue to be our political leader. And those of us who share that dream with us here tonight, shout it out, loud and proud, UNC and proud.
Thank you, Councillor Sanka. Brothers and sisters, in the past couple of days, we've been hearing some mutterings outside of the party questioning the leadership of the Honorable Kamla Prasad Bisesa. Brothers and sisters, they've said we are campaigning on the Monday Night Forum, but we are not doing that. This is a forum to discuss issues, and I would like some answers on these issues. When Kamla Prasad Bisesa, as opposition leader, was walking through floodwater, was in a boat going through floodwater to fight for her people, where were those detractors? Brothers and sisters, when Kamla Prasad Bisesa was going to the homes of murder victims and the funerals of murder victims, where were these individuals who are now seeking to fight for leadership? When Kamla Prasad Bisesa is in our nation's parliament fighting tooth and nail for your welfare, where are these people who are now seeking to be leader? But brothers and sisters, my question tonight is not about the UNC leadership. My question is, do you want Kamla Prasad Bisesa as your Prime Minister? Do you want Kamla Prasad Bisesa as your next Prime Minister? Well, brothers and sisters, I can tell you, the whole country wants Kamla Prasad Bisesa as their next Prime Minister. So come November 26, it's a foregone conclusion that Kamla Prasad Bisesa, whether you campaign in Monday Night Forum, whether you walk in Flood, whether you walk wherever, she will be the next political leader of the United National Congress. Brothers and sisters, the next speaker is a veteran of the United National Congress. The next speaker is the second best Minister of Education. Why? Because Kamla Prasad Bisesa was the best Minister of Education. The next speaker is a fighter for Caroni East. Let us welcome the Honorable Dr. Tim Gopi Singh.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. A young, brilliant chairman we have, discovered through the UNC a few years ago. Our distinguished, brilliant, and beloved political leader and leader of the opposition, and soon to be re-elected as political leader of the UNC on November 26th, and soon again to be our next Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Mrs. Kamla Prasad Bisesa. Parliamentary colleagues of both houses, chairmen, councillors, aldermen, our UNC family, members of the media, and thousands listening and viewing on the various radio stations and TV stations, and our family supporters, well-wishers in the cities of Miami, Toronto, New York, and even in London. A warm and heartfelt welcome to Caroni East here at St. Helena Hindu School this evening. In the minutes allotted to me, I intend to speak with you on two issues. The PNM entrenched corruption continues. The other area is the political persecution of the opposition, the erosion of their democracy, and abuse of parliamentary privileges. In just 26 months, this Rowley government has proven itself to be a corrupt, wicked, evil, spiteful, and vindictive government. People are now describing them as inept and incompetent. They are classless, they are brutal, they are brainless, and people are saying it's the dunsiest government this country has ever seen. I, as a medical practitioner for 44 years, sometimes wonder whether they all exhibit some degree of brain damage. They continue to lie to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. They can be described as pathologic liars, and some considered as serial liars. They betrayed the trust of the people. They continue to pauperize our citizens, our working poor becoming poorer, the middle class being wiped out, the elderly are dying in our hospitals, people are hungry, over 20,000 have lost their jobs and more losing their jobs. The children are without books in the schools, without school meals. The ECC centers are closed, gate is being reduced, and former Minister Karim can speak about this subsequently when he is in his constituency. Children cannot get life-saving surgery. Public servant salaries are late. Thousands are not being paid. School social workers, school feeding caterers, PTSE school transport, the drivers are not being paid. And all of this is happening while Prime Minister Rowley has flown out of this country 18 times, as Barry Paderat has told you, and he has been out of this country for more than 110 days in these 26 months. Leaving an OGT Minister of Finance, the worst Minister of Finance this country has ever seen, to act. This country is in desperate need of leadership. And it is time, my brothers and sisters, we make sure that Kamla Prasad Bisesa comes back as quickly as possible as our next Prime Minister. Let me give you and remind you of some areas of corruption within this 26 months from the People's National Movement. One of the main areas early on was they gave one of their friends who helped them in the PR campaign in the election a lobbying for $16 million. 26 months have passed, and the group DC, which has been given $16 million for lobby for Trinidad and Tobago, cannot show what they have lobbied for as yet. But the same group in a Caribbean island doing it for $2 million for them. Then we had a loan guarantee of another P&M friend. It's called the Grand Bay Company. $5 million US was a loan guarantee given by Rowley's government for a paper company which was going under. So a $35 million TT gift was given as a handout to another P&M friend. Then we had the issue of millions of painting for Casabon paintings. Then the corruption in the Taruba Stadium. That Taruba Stadium, brothers and sisters, $78 million was paid to the contractor before a contract was signed. And what was supposed to be $225 million in cost went to $1.2 billion. Yes. And when that 100 million was given for the stadium recently, is the families of P&M ministers and the families of financiers who were given the $100 million to power wash the Brian Lara Stadium. To power wash, $100 million. And then the same Prime Minister is telling you, eat fig and salt and dal and rice. But he knows that we have grown up with dal and rice. Dal cooking in one pot, rice cooking in another pot, and we just have to get a choker to go with it. Well, all of this is happening while millions are being corruptly spent. Sandals now. He was asked a question whether an MOU was signed with Sandals. Stuart Young said yes. But when questioned, they could never produce this MOU to the Parliament or in public. Now, Rowley has turned to inviting the private sector. And who is interested? The Massey Group. And I want you to understand the relationship between this P&M government and the Massey Group. Who is chairman of the Massey Group? The Chancellor of the University. You remember when they gave the name that he is now the Chancellor? Before the Senate of the University of the West Indies could say he is the Chancellor. P&M government gone out in front and say we have already selected the Chancellor, which is against any university regulations. I spent nearly 24 years of my life in the university, reaching the situation of associate professor, being clinical dean of the medical school. So I know the ropes. Former Minister Faisal Karim knows the ropes. And when we saw that they said that the Chancellor is so-and-so, the university had not said it, but those are their friends, my brothers and sisters. Then $31 million was paid to audit Pricewaterhouse and Ernst & Young. $31 million. Audit upon audit upon audit. And a senior minister of government has an immediate relative who is a senior partner of Ernst & Young. So himself to himself. So you understand what is happening with P&M and the Rowley government. There's massive corruption, gross hypocrisy. And that matter I just spoke about, I believe, has gone to the Integrity Commission. Then we have the Manzanilla Highway, $400 million. Curup Interchange, $400 million. Which Minister of Government has land around the Curup Interchange and has land going into Manzanilla Highway on both sides? Who stands to benefit from that highway? You all know the answer. So the value of his land will go up, and more, he will continue to be a financier for the PNM. But the head of the Economic Advisory Board yesterday said, Terence Farrell, he questioned the validity of the highway. Let us warmly welcome our political leader, our opposition leader, and our next Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. My brothers and sisters, I was speaking to you about the widespread corruption now within the rank and file of the People's National Movement. There are a number of other projects, the Moruga Road project, the 250 million sporting complex in Diego Martin, which was a hush-hush. We don't know who got the contract, under what terms, and under what tendering procedure. Then we have the $500 million San Fernando waterfront project to come on. And the head of that, I understand, has been the campaign manager for Faris Al-Rawi. And he had to step away when there were allegations of sexual harassment made against him. Those are the people heading a multi-million-dollar investment program by the state. And then let us come to the two areas quickly. The ferry gate, the Cabo Star, and the Ocean Flower too. Over $100 million is paid more annually now, replacing the SS Galicia. And the mobilization fee alone for the Cabo Star was $13 million. And the mobilization for the Ocean Flower was $20 million. And Rowley himself said there was corruption within the port. But what has he done? He fired the general manager, Charmaine Lewis, for speaking out before the Joint Select Committee, which our colleague Wade Mark and Rushton Parry had an important role to play. They have drowned one of their own strongest supporters, Harry Ragunanan. They have drowned him in the ferry gate issue because he came forward and gave information of the corruption there. 3 government ministers are deeply implicated in that ferry gate issue. And not a sound is being heard. Not a report on the audit. Nothing is being done. Corruption, PNM style, my brothers and sisters. And Petrotrin with the fake oil. You all know all about the fake oil. And yesterday on the newspaper, you saw A&V output falls. You remember this? Yesterday on the Guardian. A&V output falls. And the inside they said, audit to answer why A&V oil production fell by 65%. Isn't that a worrying issue? Suddenly it fell by 65%. You know the answer. Because there was massive corruption in the whole process. And who is the friend of the Prime Minister? We asked the question, it has been coming on social media. Why did the Honorable Prime Minister go to California on 2 occasions? You have some of the best medical centers right here in Miami. He went to California for medical treatment. And he gone back a second time. And the social media is saying that he and his friend were together in California. And when he said he called his friend, some people say his friend was next door to him at his side. He didn't have to call him. So ladies and gentlemen, this is what is happening to our country at the moment. Widespread corruption. Then you would have seen the corruption in EFCL, bid rigging, firing of the chairman of the board, minister advisor taking checks to contractors, and 5 audits costing $5 million. Nothing has been revealed on that yet. If I had time, I would tell some of the younger ones here tonight, and even some of the more senior ones who could remember the past PNM squandermania and corruption, the Lockjoint scandal, the Tissot Oil Company, John O'Halloran, Bureau Y, Francis Prevat, they disappeared in Panama, the Gene Miles gas station racket, the Hall of Justice overrun, the Twin Towers overrun, the waterfront project costing $4.2 billion, Napa and Sapa, $200 million US overrun, the Scarborough Hospital moved from $120 million to over $800 million, Shore Park, Tobago, Cultural Complex, $600 million, and so on. So it is in the DNA of the PNM. They have not changed. It goes back from since the late 1950s to 2017. They cannot take that away from them. Corruption is inbred. And I always used to say, PNM invented corruption. They masterminded corruption. And they perfected corruption. And they are playing pious. Pious. Especially the captain of the Titanic. And what is happening to the Titanic? The iceberg, it has clashed with the iceberg, it is tilting, and it is sinking. And we mustn't forget the Cold Heart, 368 million contract to his brother-in-law, 2 billion summit in 2009 for 2 days. And there's a time for the wives. A wife of a government minister now got a $60 million HDC contract a few days before the 2010 election. Another wife of another minister now was a project manager. She's a jeweler, but she's project manager for whom? HDC. She was a project manager for HDC. And many of you would remember the Bolt company. So this is part of PNM. Shameful and disgraceful and corrupt legacy for their 46 out of 61 years they governed. Gross hypocrisy. And they want to make you believe that Kabla did not do anything for them. We didn't do anything. And if we had time, we will tell you all the schools and the hospitals and the police stations and the libraries and the roads and everything that we constructed. But that is for another evening. And all of this is happening while they're running away with the cookie jar. They are plundering the treasury. Complete squandermania is occurring. The social media say, me saying it, they're thieving. While people are starving and hungry with loss of jobs on a daily basis. So this Rowley-led government is the worst ever government in the history of Trinidad and Tobago. Do you agree with me? They have damaged this country beyond repair. And even the Doma president recently said, we are now a failed state. My time is going to be up pretty shortly. But there was one area that I needed to touch on. The erosion of our democracy, the political persecution, the viciousness and the personal attacks. Every day in Parliament and out of Parliament, we're going to lock up all you, we're going to lock up all you. But let me tell them all right now that the UNC is not afraid of any PNM whatsoever. Our hands are clean and our hearts are pure, and we will withstand any threat whatsoever from them. They are abusing the parliamentary privileges. And what is happening? WPC, Camille Robinson Bridges, reading out warrant in Parliament. And Minister Stuart Young seeing something on social media and say that is the warrant. But let me tell him something tonight, Stuart Young. We have evidence of phone calls that you have been making to police warrant officers, asking them where they reach, when they're going to serve the warrant, when and who to serve it to. He is now the real Commissioner of Police. SRP. He has replaced Williams. So everything for him, he's agitated. He getting up in Parliament, he going here, he want to lock up here, he want to lock up there. He pretending that he's this big lawyer, but he's no damn big lawyer. He was a squanting lawyer. And he's seizing computers and telephones and brazen about it, boasting. And they're boasting that they have contractors, have contracted international criminal and constitutional and civil lawyers, highly paid attorneys. We are asking tonight, Stuart Young and Al Rawi, who are these highly paid international attorneys that you have brought to Trinidad and Tobago? How much have you paid them? How much have you paid each one of them in foreign currency? You must answer that, because it is the taxpayers' money that are paying for it. My brothers and sisters, when Jwala Rambaran, when the Prime Minister decided to ask Jawala to speak in Parliament as a temporary senator, as soon as he raised his head, he wanted to cut off his neck. That is the viciousness of the PNM. PNM style DNA. And we mustn't forget what they did. They planted cocaine and missiles inside the back tank. They went to Prime Minister Pandey with brigades of police officers. Recently, they went with brigades of police officers for Annan. But as Rudy said recently, they have no chance in hell on Annan because it's a situation where he say, as Rudy said. And then they went to the former CJ, and Manning had told him, resign or else. So my brothers and sisters, in conclusion, honorable political leader, Caroni East and I, we recommit ourselves in total support for your re-election as political leader. We will work determined to ensure you have an overwhelming victory on November 26th. Total commitment from our soldiers here and our councillors here in Caroni East. We are proud to be UNC. We are proud of Kamala. We support you, political leader. We love you. And may God richly bless you. May God richly bless Trinidad and Tobago and our wonderful nation. Thank you very much.
I would like to acknowledge the chairman of the Miaro Regional Corporation, Glenn Ram. And I saw in the midst Devan Maraj. Also, Mr. Bisasa, good afternoon to you. Did you all see the movie Beauty and the Beast? I think you all know about the movie. Well, this is Beauty, and you know who is the Beast? My UNC family, we all know that under the leader, Kamala Prasad Bisesa, in 2010, 2015, we saw change. We saw development. We had employment, education facilities. Crime was on the low. Do you agree with me? Yes. Do you agree that she will be the political leader of the United National Congress? Are we ready to move forward with Kamala Prasad Bisesa? I am ready. Not red and ready, but ready to return her as the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. I would like to bring on a young lady. She has her LLB at the University of London. She is the Public Relations Officer of the United National Congress. She studied history government at St. John's University. She went to St. Joseph Convent. And as you know, our leader is moving forward with young, dynamic speakers. Let us welcome Senator Anita Haynes.
Good evening, political leader, Mrs. Kamala Prasad Bisesa, all of my parliamentary colleagues, councillors, aldermen, and all of you, the UNC activists. I came here tonight with one message. Since the election bell has rung for our internal elections, we've been hearing a constant rhetoric about what is happening in the United National Congress. Everyone has an opinion, everyone has a voice, that nothing is happening. And I'm here to tell you tonight that could not be further from the truth. When I was appointed as PRO in June of this year, the political leader asked me, gave me one very specific mandate, that we, together with all of the team UNC, would work together to move our party forward. She was not, thank you. And when she says move forward, she's not talking about this year or the next year, but she is building a party that will take Trinidad and Tobago for generations to come. And this is not idle talk or campaign rhetoric, as you would be hearing from some of those on the other side. But this is the truth. If you look at our Senate bench right now, if you look at our parliament, if you look at our local government representatives, what you can see is an ideal mix of experience and youth. And that is leadership. That is what you want from a leader, and that's what you should expect from a leader. Trinidad and Tobago right now is experiencing a crisis in leadership. We have a prime minister that does not have a clue what is needed to take our country forward. And you see that every day because all of our people are suffering. Every race, every creed, every class is suffering in Trinidad and Tobago, with the exception of a few in the super elite. But everyone else is feeling it, and I know that you feel it too. So that we have a decision to make as a party on who we would like to take us forward. And that is a very important decision because who we put at the helm of our party will take government in 2020 or before. So the decision that you are making is not just for the United National Congress. As big as we are and as important as we are, you are making a decision for Trinidad and Tobago. And what I've seen under the leadership of Mrs. Kamala Persad-Bissessar is access to opportunity and a space for everyone at the table of decision making, not just the select few. So that when you go to the polls on November 26th, you can rest assured that if you put your X next to the star, that you would be voting for opportunity, for your space at the table of decision making. Because she listens to all of your voices. Everyone here. I've been at cottage meetings across the country for the majority of this year, and more recently we've had more frequent cottage meetings. And the energy and vibrancy that I have seen in the United National Congress must be striking fear in the heart of the PNM. So much so that we have a Prime Minister speaking to his party about a social media expert for their political organization. And because my expertise is in communications, I can tell him here today, that will not help you. Your arrogance, your incompetence, and your failure as a government will not be covered by any social media strategy. So that as the United National Congress continues to build and continues to reach out to real people, to people of Trinidad and Tobago, one by one, constituency by constituency, community by community, the PNM will be fearful. And the only leader that can take us forward is Mrs. Kamala Persad-Bissessar. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator Haynes. You see the young, brilliant people in the United National Congress? Brothers and sisters, it is that special time of the night. Well, I'd like you to remember something. 7 years ago, your party stood in shambles. Every morning was a breakaway fraction. Every morning this party was in the courthouse. Every morning was some fight. 7 years ago, this country stood in shambles under Patrick Manning. But 7 years ago, a woman raised her hand to save the United National Congress and to save Trinidad and Tobago. She led the best ever government that the Caribbean has ever seen. Under her government, crime went down. Employment went up. Opportunity went up, brothers and sisters. Kamala Persad-Bissessar isn't only a leader. She's a mother. She has always put this party and this nation before herself. And it's because of her compassion and her leadership. Under her government, no child was left behind. Fathers were allowed to earn and put food on the table for their families. Under her government, mothers were protected. Brothers and sisters, as I said before, do not fear because Kamala Persad-Bissessar, your next Prime Minister, is here. So welcome the Honorable Kamala Persad-Bissessar.
If I could sing, I would like to sing this song for you. But since I cannot sing, I'll ask Angela if she can help us. Please welcome Angela, and Peter, can you run the song again? And the words are on the screen, so this is my message to you from this song. Come and help me. Thank you so much. Angela has such a beautiful voice. So she has been my voice tonight with those words. We are everything we are in this great party of ours, the UNC, because of the love I have for you and because of the love you gave to me. Tonight, I think we are in a special place. Thank you, Angela. To our MPs who are here, and a special welcome, please. Former Minister Jairam Simangal, please stand. All the other MPs and senators who are here with us tonight. And of course, you know, I have seen in this past year a tremendous transformation taking place in our party. And that has been the empowerment of our councillors and aldermen. Give up your hands to the councillors and aldermen. That is truly MPs, senators, our councillors, or aldermen. I think for the first time, I've seen a real team UNC, with everyone coming together and working together, and that's what we need to do. So as I say, good evening to my UNC family. Thank you so much for joining us here this evening. I pay special attention, because we are in Karen East, to the really hard-working MP, Dr. Tim Gopi Singh, and his team, the chairman and executive members of Karen East. And at the same time, we are joined with La Hoqueta, so special thanks to Ryan, Councillor Ryan Rampersad, chair of La Hoqueta, and his team there as well. And to all of you who have come out. There is much that we can say tonight. But I think if there's one thing, if we keep in our hearts that we remember always, nothing can stop us from going forward. And that is, the UNC is a great party. I am UNC and I'm proud. I am UNC and I'm proud. Are you UNC? Are you proud? And let no one make you think that you are lesser than anyone else. That is one strategy I see as we go forward. Where they dump on the UNC, where they say all kinds of things, all manner of things about UNC people. But we are part of this country. A country in which every creed and every race has an equal place and must have an equal place. And so we stand side by side, coming out of slavery, coming out of indentureship, coming out of the oil fields, coming out of the cane fields, coming out of the rice fields, coming out from everywhere, from some of the greatest civilizations of the world. That's who we are. We are proud UNC, and we will remain proud and committed. So when you hear the Port of Spain people, I think mainly, I used to say 1%, but maybe they are, but not all. So there's a Port of Spain people, really. It's Port of Spain versus the rest of the country. Understand it, you know. The rest of the country is not Port of Spain. But there are brains in Port of Spain, the elites in Port of Spain, who want to pontificate and lay down codes of behavior and lay down all manner of things for the rest of the country to follow. In 2010, the entire map changed to yellow. Remember? The entire map went yellow, coming from Toco San Negrani straight up until you hit Port of Spain. Not true? Coming down now, the whole of the south, coming straight down South Central, yellow. Right? There was one place that said red, however. Tahaka was your place in Point 14. So we will take that and make it yellow too in the next rounds. So let us understand that the mass of our population, I don't know if you remember in the last election where we were declared to have lost, 2015, we got more votes than the PNM, you know. Did you know that? So this government that is in power is a government that is a minority government. Understand that? And we can understand it even more when we see the sufferation and the suffering throughout the length and breadth of the country. In the local government elections, we were able to get more votes than the PNM, you know. So in the general 2015, and in the local that went 2016, more votes, more seats, we were able to claim that. So let nobody make you feel bad, you lost on how much times you lose and didn't lose. Let us learn from those. Let us take responsibility to do better. We agreed? We have to do better. And once we are divided, we will lose. Once we divide, that's when we lose. Look at what happened in Tocosani Grande, the corporation. We tied. Do you know we lost one seat by, what was it, 29 votes? 29 votes. And that one seat in local would have given us control of the corporation. Why did we lose it? We had a third candidate. So you had the PNM candidate, UNC, and there was a third party candidate. I think it was the NSA. Lost a seat, can you imagine, by 29 votes. We must never let that happen again. We must not divide, and we must not let one vote slip away. We must be there to pick up every single vote in every single election. And my first point to you, as we go on tonight, I have a lot of things, but there's one that really troubles me, so I'll go straight to that, because I intended to speak of some of the corruption issues. Dr. Tim has covered those. But there is one area that I'm very worried about, and it has to do with the EBC. Because you see, the EBC is the most important institution for free and fair elections, to monitor elections, and to make sure at the end of the day that the tenets of democracy are all in train and have all been taken care of. So let me get to my notes where I come to the EBC. Recently, you would have seen the appointment of a chief election officer of the EBC. So I'm looking for my notes because I'm skipping half of it. Chief election officer, madam. A chief election officer. Okay. First, the first we heard of it was when the Prime Minister was asked whether he was consulted and so on about that appointment. And he said, well, yes. Why don't you go and ask Kamala? Yeah, sometimes, I think I'm in charge here, I think we're still in charge. Why don't you go and ask the opposition leader? Because the president consulted me, and I said yes. And so the president would have had to consult the opposition leader. Once again, he lied. This man is now a pathological serial liar. In 5 minutes in the parliament during the budget debate, this man lied 27 times. In 5 minutes, about 5 minutes. I didn't bring it tonight, sorry. But it's up on the social media, you'll see 14 lies, but really it was 27 lies in 5 minutes. Sorry, I didn't bring the video. I'll do it another night. But each time he speaks, we must never believe what he says. Do not trust what they say. And it's not only him. It is a pattern of behavior of this rowdy PNM. Okay? That they just tell untruths shamelessly. You would have a conscience. Maybe sometimes you make a little mistake and your memory served you wrong and you might make a mistake and say something. But this is happening over and over and over and over again. Lies. So he tells the media that the EBC chief election officer, president consulted him and asked the opposition leader, because same way they would consult her, and they will decide who is the chief election officer. First of all, he lied. Second, he lied again. And third, more lies. The president does not appoint the chief election officer. And therefore, there is no duty to consult opposition leader. There are some positions, yes, where president consults the opposition leader and prime minister. But for the chief election officer, the president has no part to play in that appointment. That appointment is made by the Public Service Commission. And when they go through their process, they will then consult whom? The prime minister, not me, not the opposition leader. But that fellow still thinks I'm the prime minister. So he thinks they should consult me as well. So they consulted him under section 121 of the Constitution. He signed off. He said he gave his approval. That's the first set of wrong things there with that appointment. I had nothing to do with it. I had absolutely nothing to do with that. If I did, there might have been a different decision, because I have serious issues now with the person appointed as the Chief Election Officer. If you go into the Representation of the People Act, the Chief Election Officer is mentioned over 150 times. You know why? Because of the most important job in ensuring free and fair elections rests in the hands of the Chief Election Officer. So first, we are told, and we only found out after, that this CEO is a relative of a minister of government. Now that is bad enough, huh? But look, sometimes you don't choose your family, agreed? You just get family, you don't choose them. So if that is bad, maybe it's bad, but that's not the end of that matter when we look at the appointment of the person to the Chief Election Officer. And we find out now that this person was a senior legal officer at the EBC. And when we challenge the decision of the EBC to extend the hours of voting in general election 2015, both the High Court and the Court of Appeal ruled that the EBC acted unlawfully in extending that. Don't forget that, you know, so we lost the second limb of it, but that first limb is that the EBC acted unlawfully, the High Court ruled, and the Court of Appeal. And who was the legal advisor to the EBC? The same person who is now appointed Chief Election Officer. Well, that's bad too. So relative bad legal advice. Let me get to the real issue. Real issue, all of that is there. The person who gave that advice to spend millions to defend the action is today clearly, as Srini say, more immortal than the person. And we can now add whether this person, in making this appointment, whether the PSC bypassed a number of persons with better experience and greater experience to give it to this person. Persons who gave their life to the public service. They qualified themselves in the field of administering and managing elections, all bypassed. You remember the Prime Minister again lying, or maybe he didn't remember. He said there were 14 applications. There were, in fact, 44 applications for the post of Chief Election Officer. 44. The PSC gave a press release and they said there were 44 applications. They shortlisted it and they interviewed and did what they had to do. Out of the 44, first of all, they selected someone who is not a public officer, but somebody who was a contract officer. That's a serious business, you know. You see, the way our whole public service is structured, it may work good sometimes, not so good other times, is to give you a certain level of independence in the performance of your duties. As a public officer, you are protected by security of tenure, meaning they can't fire you if you don't do what they want. But when you're a contract officer, first of all, you're hired at the women fancy, and you can be fired at the women fancy of a person who doesn't, if you don't carry out their bidding and so on. So they took a contract officer and appointed this person over 43 other applicants for this job. So we continue. Does this person satisfy the minimum requirements for the job? Now the Public Service Commission put out the advertisement, and they put out, first of all, that the person to be appointed or qualified is a person who has at least 8 years experience in managing electoral matters. This person does not have 8 years experience. At least 8. Don't matter how much she has, she doesn't have 8 years. So the first line of the ad is not met. The first requirement is not met. She was not a member of the public service, as I'm telling you. And I've heard the concerns of many persons about disappointment. It is a matter of grave concern for me and for us in this great party, because we live, the lifeblood of any party is elections. And therefore we look for the utmost integrity and independence in a chief election officer of the EBC. So I raise these with you, and I've had the advice from a number of lawyers, including Queen's Counsel out of England, and we are putting together a bundle of papers to challenge the appointment of this person as chief election officer. My team, as I said, is gathering all the relevant information, and we are in the process of drafting proceedings because we cannot let this escape. As I say, the most important officer for any free and fair election is the chief election officer. Do we have your support to proceed in this regard? And that is basically one of the main issues I wanted to raise with you tonight. And then Tim touched on it, the issue of the fake oil. I had raised that matter in September. You recall at a Congress meeting we had. I raised the issue where I got the audit report and I read from that audit report. And now I'm reading, well then after I read from that report, it became public knowledge, and then Petrotrin moved to appoint some investigators. I think the group is called KROLL, Kroll. And we had been told that report will come out sometime in the middle of this month of November. I'm reading on the paper now on Thursday of last week and Sunday, yesterday Sunday, that since that report came out and it became public knowledge, that the production numbers of the particular leasehold operator known as A.N. Drilling, their production has fallen by about 65%. 65%. Now, why did that happen? That's for July and August. I want you to remember the audit report, they started the auditing in July. They moved Mr. Devki Singh at the same time they started the audit report. That was the gentleman who was the person measuring the amounts, the production. And I told you before that we believe there was collusion. We were informed that there had been collusion, Mr. Devki Singh and others, to give you false reports about the amount of the productions. So, lo and behold, the audit started in July. The report was completed in August, and I read it on the platform in September. We do not have the production numbers for September, October, and now we are into November. But on the website of the Ministry of Energy and Energy Affairs, there is an energy sector report which shows clearly that the total amount of production from, they call them IPSCs, these are the leasehold operators of which AV Drilling is one, that shows a great reduction for July and August, from before in June and so on. So the audit report dealt with January till June. Once the audit began, they moved out this gentleman, and what happened? The recorded production numbers have fallen by 65%. Do you know what that means? That means that all the rest had to be fake oil. The explanation being given, I am told from the newspaper, by way of the cabinet note that went to cabinet, note went to cabinet saying, you know, production fell, and they explaining it in the cabinet note says it's because of a natural decline in new wells. Natural decline in new wells. You hear a lie? That is one of those lies. So we await that investigation. Tonight I demand, when that report is completed, they said in the middle of this month, that report should be made public for everyone to see. In the meantime, I asked the Prime Minister and his Minister of Energy, has this particular leasehold operator been paid for the fake oil? Because I'm told after they stopped it, there was pressures on Petrotrin to pay the leasehold operator for the oil. But you can't do that. There's an investigation ongoing. Have you paid it? Whilst the investigation is ongoing, we need to get answers to those questions. So my friends tonight, let me thank you for being here. I will not campaign from this platform tonight, but I will campaign for my party, the great UNC. Because when we were in government, together with the others in the partnership, we had the best manner of delivery, the length and breadth of Trinidad and Tobago. The length and breadth. Today people are crying, they're losing jobs. Losing jobs. The Prime Minister said, no job cuts. Prime Minister said, no job cuts, no? No? Well, yes, that too. But you see, he doesn't walk and talk and meet and greet with people. He has no care for people. Because if he did, he would see what we are seeing as MPs in our offices and councillors and so on. When people come to us, this is one of the main cries. No job, I lost my job. You know, with people begging me to help. I cannot do much. I can hug you and cry with you, yes. But I do not have the office of state that I can help you. We created in our time over 55,000 new jobs. Through this Rowley-led regime, we will see a loss of more than 55,000 jobs. With each passing day, I ask you to think, and some of you may be here in that position, because people come and see me and they see my MPs. They come think of a father. He's afraid to go home to face his wife and his children. Why? He doesn't know where the next meal is going to come from. Do anybody understand? Does Rowley ever understand that? They cannot understand it. He talk about eating green banana. I asked you the other night, where does this man come from? Anybody know anything about green banana? Green fig. And I like green fig, by the way. Talk about eat dal. So for him, hard times is eating green fig or eating dal and rice. That fella don't know how much of us eating dal and rice every day. How much of us eating green fig every other day. He doesn't understand. What he doesn't understand is you don't even have the green fig and you don't even have the dal and the rice. That's what he doesn't understand. Behave yourself. Behave yourself. So jobs. 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 And what are they doing to grow the economy, to create jobs? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Stood on a platform yesterday. Look, this man had a 44-page speech yesterday. That's okay, that's his party. If I had a 44-page speech here, I think half of you would leave and walk off. I would have leave too. 44 pages, they put it out instantly after he spoke. Anyway, I'm talking about Vision 2030. What is Vision 2030? Vision 2030 is a recycled version of Mr. Manning's Vision 2020. They recycled it, a mishmash of ideas, no comprehensive, cohesive plan. Pie in the sky, as you said. A pie in the sky dream that will never happen, that will never take our country forward now, this time or any time. Now, I think they did that yesterday, and the whole convention seemed to have been about this Vision 2030. It's because we have been saying repeatedly, and we said before elections, Fazal, we say they have no plan. So they now want to come to convince you, after 2 years, look, we have a plan, you know, this is it, 2030. If you even get the energy to read that, trust me, it is not worth the paper it is printed on. It will not work. I have offered to you solutions. We have offered solutions. We have talked to you about the green economy, the blue economy, the silver economy, different ways to diversify our economy and grow it. I have talked to you in the last 2 years, I've been talking about the digital economy, which is the way to go. And ask all those young people, little children, you know, they want to this thing whole day and night. I don't think they even talk to people, just on the little phones and laptops and iPads and so on. That's the age. That is the digital age. That's where we have to go. And in addition to that, when I spoke last time, and I talked about the fourth industrial revolution, which is a digital economy, someone sent me back a message on my Facebook. They said, so what about other forms of energy? Because I shared the story of the shale gas and the fact that they will no longer need our oil and gas here because the United States is producing more than we can ever need for the whole world out of their shale gas. I talked about it. And I was saying, look, let's go to digital economy and these are the areas. And the guy sent back on my Facebook, what about alternative forms of energy? And yes, that is true too. And we had begun a process. We were working with the World Bank to set up a fund. Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Tiwari, so he walked in, Our the fund we had set up was with the World Bank to set up a fund for us here and the Caribbean for alternative forms of energy. Since this government came into office, I think all of that is on a shelf somewhere because they really have no plan, no clue, or no idea where to go forward. So I do not just stand on your platform, and we do not stand on the platform and just complain. We have a plan. We have many plans. We have solutions, and those plans and solutions we are building on, we are growing on, we are improving on. We know some of it worked 2010 to 15, but the world is changing every day, and we have to keep improving and growing. So I assure you, your team, UNC, is continuing to improve that plan. Since they came into office, they came on a cry of crime, and they had a 10-point crime plan. They had it, you're right, because since they came in, they have not implemented any of these things in the 10-point crime plan. And crime continues to increase. Since they came in office, 1,000 people have been murdered in this country. Over 1,000 people. And what are they doing? Are they putting any plan in place? No. Instead, they're dismantling, they're wrecking, they're taking away many of the initiatives we had to fight crime. I'll come to that in a minute, Louise. And so they're dismantling all these initiatives that we had, which were the initiatives and the programs that brought serious crime down to the lowest ever in 31 years under my watch. Under my watch. So they did a con job on the people, and they felt, okay, well, let's get rid of these people here now. They say forever, they campaign from 20, if you get rid of Kamala and the UNC and the partnership, get rid of us. Well, I think some people now holding their head and bawling. But you see, they did a good con job. And tonight I want to ask you, some of our own supporters believe the PNM propaganda. And you get weak. And you get frightened. Listen to me. I am not afraid of them. I am not afraid. I've spent half my life fighting the PNM. I'm not afraid. And if you ever want to see government again, and if you ever want to get good governance in this country, do not back down and do not be afraid and do not fall for their propaganda. So you sit down in corners and you shoo-shoo and this one bad and that one bad and I don't want he and I don't want she. Oh God, man. Let us unite. Let us unite. Let us work together. Let's work together. In 2015, while man campaigning for a seat, you have others behind their backs trying to pull them down. True or not true? So we fought each other instead of fighting the real enemy. And the real enemy is the rowdy PNM. Get that inside your brain and work it. Otherwise, you will never see good governance again. The history will show you every time we have divided, we have lost. Every single election we have divided, we have lost. And there are those there, up in the wherever, in the west, and so on. There are those there want to keep us divided, There are those there want to chain up some of our own members and keep us divided. We saw it, I remember Miss Hulsi Bagan, great lady, formed a party called the MOP every day on TV and every day on radio. She was the darling of the media. To do what? To mash up the UNC. To mash up the UNC. In the same way, we saw it with Ramesh Lawrence and Maharaj. Same way, every day on TV, radio. To do what? Team unity. Mash up. And they we take the chain up. We take the chain up. Because you're getting your face on TV. Right now we have some detractors on TV every Monday morning and every Tuesday and every Wednesday. Why don't they come into the communities, walk the ground, put their boots on, hit the ground and work with you? Why? Why? You don't win elections on TV, friends. You don't win like that. You must have a care and a heart for people. That's what you must have. So I was on the point of division. You reminded me the ILP divided us again. 2013 when we ran the local, we ran a three-way divided election. In the THA election, again, there was division. We were not there as the UNC, but even the parties in Tobago for the THA election, they were divided. Why don't we learn? You know, there's a famous saying, if we fail to learn from the mistakes of the past, we are forever doomed. And that mistake has always been division. Because every man, what I was going to say, I said, two Borat cars stay in the same place. And that's what happens, that everyone feels better than the next one. Let me give you a story, I was in Jamaica. I was a perpetual student because Greg was studying medicine, which takes a long time. So I just kept doing other courses, which I enjoyed. I was one of those professional students. And whilst I was there, I did certain things, and then I got a job as a lecturer at the university in Jamaica. And people were happy for me and so on. But I met some Trini people who were students, and they want to come now. How you get that? How you reach there? Don't we have that the same way amongst us? We divide each other. When you see a man doing good or a woman doing good, say, praise the Lord, thank you, great, congratulations. But instead, they want to know how you reach there. I reach there because I work hard. I reach where I am because I think and I study and I work. And the good Lord has blessed me with a great memory. I remember well. So when I'm studying, I can remember more. And I can't say I'm brilliant. Tim. And so I've studied a lot. But any one of us, we can do it. We all have the potential. And then we have our children. We need to push them. I've told you before, education, education, education. If we don't push our children into education, then they will be in the same cycle that you are, or your grandparents. But parents and grandparents, we live to see the children rise up and lift up. How proud we are when they pass the little SEA and they get a school and they write CXC and then the A-levels and then they get in university. If they don't get in, they get in into UTT. Well, look, under this government, I don't even know if there'll be a UTT that they can go to. They cut the gate. And now they're going to cut the UTT by half. That was a lot of work. Tim, Fazal did a lot of work for tertiary level after high school for training in carpentry, masonry, mechanic, every single thing. They've cut all those programs. So where are our young people to go under the P&M? They have nowhere to go and will fall into bad ways, you're right. We had programs for them coming out of school. We had jobs for them thereafter. They've cut all of this. So in every single sector, this government has failed. In every single sector. Health, education, infrastructure development, crime fighting. I have reminded you that the key jobs, responsibilities of any government is first to protect its people. This government has failed to protect the citizens in their schools, on the streets, in their homes. People have become statistics in their homes as they're murdered in their homes. They become crime victims. Government has failed totally to protect citizens. And the second job they have as a government, any government, the second responsibility is not to lie. The second responsibility they have really is to invest in the human resources. That is the whole education sector. And Anita was the third, remind me. Protect, invest, and provide. Forget provision. Provide for people. The whole social safety net. To have an economy and an infrastructure that will grow and develop great jobs to provide. So in the three main responsibilities of a government, protect, provide, and invest, this government has totally failed. So what do we say to them? We have to tell them to get out. We need to work to get them out of office. We have to move them out of office. Because we cannot, if we continue down this pathway, a generation. Okay, we'll ask them. I understand MP Coffee is ill, that's what I'm told. Yes, I'm told. So, Someone asked me when they heard I was coming here tonight. When I was coming here tonight, the residents of Farm Road, St. Joseph, asked me to say tonight, and I will be happy to say, but I didn't know Jairam would be here tonight. They asked me to say he was the best minister of land ever. Because he had helped us. And there's another pattern going on with this government of going into break homes, mash up people's homes. In Windsor Park, they threatened the Farm Road all over. Down Windsor Park, I know MP Reminiscing is working with them there. I had worked with all these committees before I became Prime Minister. Farm Road, they wanted to break down. I went to court and I helped. Windsor Park, I'd also gone in. Penal, Diego Martin, throughout the length and breadth. PNM, DNA, that Tim talks about a DNA. Another part of their DNA is they don't like to see nobody with a house. They move in and want to mash it up. They don't like people who have a house. And so Windsor Park is being threatened now. Up in Farm Road again and other communities. I give the assurance tonight, my commitment, that wherever they come to mash up your house, I am standing in front of the backhoe. So call me. We have a team of lawyers and we will fight them again. You say they don't understand. They give their people $1 million apartments where? In Victoria Keys. But your little shack, they don't want you to have that. They break it down. Remember 2009, before we went into government, every week on the front page, you'll see people sitting on a mattress, sitting with their children crying outside because they mash up the house. We had Jairam working in that ministry to help us to regularize the squatters and so on. That you need a place too. I understand that. When I campaigned in 2015, I reminded you, we had a plan for the landless and for squatter regularization, because I know what it is not to have a house, you know. I had told you all, I remember we used to move from pillar to post. Renting house here, renting house there, renting. I know what it is. You see me here looking like this today. You know why? Education and hard work. Education and hard work. But I have come from the bowels of our earth, our soil, our land here. I worked in cane field and rice field. As a student, I was a waitress for a little while, you know. In London, I went as a student. I worked like a waitress. God, that was the hardest job I ever do. But I earned money to push myself through school. We have a free education system here. I know in the later years it's harder for tertiary. That's why the gate we developed and expanded. We opened that gate, man. We opened the gate. I remember in 2010, somebody sitting down in Badisha house, young children, and they're crying, Kamala going to close the gate, Kamala going to close the gate, Kamala going to shut down CPPRP. Nothing ever happened. It is this wicked rowdy government is shutting down and closing down everything. Let us remember that as we go forward, bright together forward into the future, not backward. They have 3 strategies. Louise wanted me to tell you them, so I'll share it again tonight. 3 strategies. Strategy 1, blame Kamala. Strategy 2, strategy 3, blame Kamala and the partnership. Up to Friday in Parliament, they're still blaming us for some thing that they didn't take care of. Blame us. Blame the partnership, yes? One strategy. Strategy 2 has to do with demonizing known UNC people. Demonizing. That you're crooked and you're corrupt. You're drunk. That's what they have on every UNC person. So they want to come, as Tim told you, Parliament for 2 years. They're flinging jail. You're going to jail. You're going to jail. Lock up, lock up, lock up. Stuart Young, you better be careful that you are not the one that get locked up. Better watch it, you know. Watch it. But this government has taken an approach that they are like police officers. Yes, guess well, police. They want to act like police. SRP, something resembling police, with the powers of the police. So they could come and read warrant in the Parliament. How did that happen? The only person who has a warrant is a police officer gets it from a GP or magistrate. How you could get that? Where you get that? And up to now, that warrant has not been served. They want to come in the parliament. They want to stand and talk at post-cabinet. They're boasting about their investigating Port Authority and how they take computers. No ministry has the power to do that. That is a function or a power of the police. But the government, the ministers, especially Rawi and Young also, we say he's the minister of everything. He believes he's the all-purpose minister. And so they talk all the time of arrogating unto themselves, taking unto themselves police powers. The day a government gets involved in police matters, know you are headed for pure dictatorship. A pure dictatorship. We stop them, they complain, we stop them in parliament with law. We don't want to pass law. I've always said we will pass good law. We pass law in the interest and for the benefit to protect the rights of the citizens of this country. So they came with an order to appoint a commissioner of police. They came. And they put the Minister of National Security at the front as a man to choose what, when, how, where. You can't do that. You cannot have ministers involved in powers of the police. So I went to court together with Gerald and others. We went to court and we had those parts of the order struck out. No minister in that. No minister must be involved in police powers. And we will continue to fight for the law. They continue to blame us not supporting laws. They brought the FATCA. We fought them to get the JSC. They refused until they had to do it because they couldn't pass it with our votes. And we were able to put into that final bill so many amendments to change the whole face of the bill, but it still kept the policy that was intended for us to have the agreement with the United States. And I will do that again for good law. But I will not pass law to breach the rights of citizens and to allow for discrimination. You know what they wanted to do? In that same FATCA law. I raised it because they're still crying about it, that we didn't support them. In the end, the MPs, we did. We voted for it in the House and in the Senate. They wanted to put the Minister of Finance, that is the fellow of the riot yet fame, the grinning Minister of Finance. He was in the middle of that you would have to present all your private information to whom? Minister of Finance. No, we said, no way. Next thing he find out you have a yacht just like him and he get jealous. Or was it car he has? A Mustang. Next thing he find out Russian, what is it? A Mustang, he get jealous too. And he send the BR to come and look for you to seize it. You cannot have politicians in your private business. That is the democracy. And so we could not support it. We removed him from it and we left it in the public servants. May not all be the greatest, but they're great and they work for this country, many of them, for the BIR to be in charge of that. So that's one aspect of that. So we did pass the FATCA to keep the policy, I'm saying, the initiative with the United States. They have another piece of law they have to bring, the Global Tax Forum. We will support it if it is drafted properly to protect your rights, the rights of people. We will support it. But they take in front because, you know, they cannot even draft proper pieces of law. When it comes to our parliament, we, the opposition, who don't even have proper staff enough, we have to take it and redraft it all over again. So TTRA, in nursing, just remind me, MP nursing. TTRA bill, I've seen a copy. Initially, the bill needed a special majority, meaning our votes, because it's going to encroach on people's privacy rights. Okay? It's about your money, your assets, your property. That's private business. And so it requires the support of a special majority in the parliament. They think they will not get our support, and they will not get it if the bill is drafted in the way it is now, and I'll tell you why. So they went through the bill and they cross out, they scratch out everything that has to do with the special majority. So they take out all those clauses in the bill and they want to pass it with a simple majority. Well, I'll tell you why this is very dangerous. They want to replace the BIR with a revenue authority made up of a board. And who are the members of this board? The members of the board are to be appointed by the grinning Minister of Finance. And then that board will select a chief officer, chief executive officer. So from the minister, board, chief executive, will run the whole shebang. So what's going to happen there again, you have a member of the political directorate, yeah, controlling the show in Inland Revenue. This time, Russia, we really have that Mustang. Minister of Finance will know that in the morning. So all your assets that you have to declare will go to a politician. We cannot support that. There is no way. And then when you send your things there, your tax returns and so on, again, they're looking for UNC people. We've seen how they demonize UNC people. Tim mentioned Jawala talk once in the Senate. The man was brilliant in the Senate. The next day they want to lick him down. They're probing him. Threats. Want to intimidate anyone who stands up for rights. So tonight I give them fair notice. They bring that bill to Parliament. We cannot support it how it is, first. And second, if they pass it without our votes, without the special majority, I have a team of lawyers waiting to take them to court. So let me thank you all again. Thank you for your support. If it's one message you must leave with out of this meeting tonight, is never, ever be afraid. And do not ever, ever surrender to the brutishness and the threats of the PNM. Never. I am UNC, and I am proud. We are UNC, and we are proud. Stay proud. We are a great people, and we shall overcome. This too shall pass, and all will be well. May God bless you all. Thank you for being here, and please go home safely. Thank you so much.
Visions around you, bring tears to your eyes, and all that's around you are secrets and lies. She'll be your strength, she'll give you hope, keeping your faith when it's gone. The one you should call was standing here all alone. And she will take what's in her